Okay, on 7.4, we're going to talk about circles and parabolas. First, we're going to talk about circles. So a circle is the set of all points xy that are equidistant from a given fixed point. The fixed point is called the center, and the given distance is called the radius. And this is what the equation for a circle would be, given that the center is at the origin. If the center is something besides the origin, then I have to include those numbers. So this is what it would look like. I would take x, and then I would take the opposite sign of h, so in this case it's minus h squared plus y minus k, because I do the opposite of both, and then it equals the radius squared. So this is overall the formula. This is only what it is if, again, the origin is 0, 0. Okay, so on 1 and 2, we are given a formula, and we want to be able to identify the center and the radius. So the center would be positive 3, negative 2, because again you have to do the opposite. And if this is the radius squared, the radius would be the square root of that. And since it's not a perfect square, I'm just going to leave it like that to keep it exact. All right, number 2, the center is 0, 1. And then the radius, if this is the radius squared, then the radius would be the square root of that, which is 5. Okay, so what I'm going to do first on this one, I want to write an equation of the translation of this circle given these units. So first I'm going to graph this. So the center would be 0, 0, and the radius would be 3. Because if this is the radius squared, the square root of that is the radius. So I'm going to go over 3 places all the way around and then connect. So what I want to do now is I'm going to translate the circle. I'm going to go 4 units to the left and 3 units up. So I'm going to take the center and I'm going to translate it 4 units to the left and 3 units up. And the radius is still going to be the same. That doesn't change. So the radius is still 3. Okay, so that means the new center is negative 4, 3. The radius is still 3. So the equation is x plus 4 squared plus y minus 3 squared equals the radius squared, which is 9. So that is the equation for the new circle. Okay, so instead of drawing a picture this time, we're just going to write an equation based upon what I am giving you. So I'm going to translate this circle. So the center is 0, 0. So I'm going to move 0, 0, 2 units to the right and 3 units up. So that is the new center. So I'm going to have x minus 2 squared plus y minus 3 squared, and the radius doesn't change. So this would be my answer to number 4. Okay, number 5. So I want to write the equation of a circle for a circular irrigation field. That's like when you water your cornfield and it waters it like in a circular motion. We're going to write an equation of the circle that it makes. So this is the radius So if that's the radius squared would be 144. And then if this is the center, then I would have x minus 7, because you do the opposite. And then y plus 10, because again, you do the opposite. That's my equation to number 5. All right, so that takes care of the circles. And we're going to move on to parabolas. All right, so a parabola is the set of all points in a plane that are the same distance from a fixed line and a fixed point. That's not on the line. The fixed point, that is called the focus, which is labeled with C, and the fixed line is called the directrix. All right, I don't know why that's there. I was going to put an example there, I guess, but we have examples on the back, so I can just skip that. So we're going to elaborate on this when we get to some examples. Okay, there are 4 different kinds of scenarios when you're talking about the focus and the directrix. So first I'm going to write down an example. So this is what I want my equation to look like. So if A is greater than 0, that's what my equation is going to look like. This one, A is less than 0, so y equals negative ax squared. So we're going to talk about these two first, and then we'll look at the ones at the bottom. Okay, so for this one, the focus is going to be 0, C. The directrix is going to be y equals negative C. And here's why it is what it is. If it's y equals, then the focus needs to be in the y spot. And remember, the focus is always labeled with C. The directrix is going to be y equals, because this is y equals, and it's going to be the opposite. So here's our parabola opening up. I guess I should have drawn the picture first. So that's what that looks like. The focus is inside here. And again, the focus is C. And the directrix is going to be below it. And it has to be the same distance from the origin. So if this is up positive C, this is down negative C. Okay, so that's why these answers are what they are. Okay, let's move on to the next one. So I'm going to draw it first this time. So this is my formula. This time my parabola is going to be upside down. The focus is always inside the parabola. So it looks like the focus this time would be 0, negative C, because it's down here on the y-axis. And the directrix is going to be a line that's located outside of the parabola. So the directrix is going to be y equals positive C. So if it's y equals, the focus is in the y spot, and it's going to be y equals. And these are always the opposite. So if this is negative, the focus is negative. If this is positive, the focus is positive. Okay, let's move on to the ones where it says x equals. Okay, so if it's x equals, it's going to be sideways. The focus is always on the inside, and the directrix is always on the outside. So the focus this time is on the x-axis, so this is going to be C0. And the vertical line this time crosses the x-axis, so it's going to be x equals, and since it's on the negative side, it's negative C. So we got the focus and the directrix. So if it's x equals, the focus is in the x spot, and the directrix is x equals. They're going to be opposite signs as well. If this is a positive A, I forgot to write down the equation. If it's a positive A, the focus is positive, and the directrix is the opposite. Okay, the next equation, this time A is less than 0, so negative AY squared. So this time it's going to open to the left. Focus is on the inside, directrix is on the outside. So the focus is on the x-axis on the negative side, so the focus is negative C0. The directrix is on the positive x side, so there is that. So this is the focus, and this is the directrix. So if it's x equals, the focus is in the x spot, and the directrix is x equals. If the A value is negative, the focus is negative, and again, these are opposites of each other. So we have patterns everywhere on this page. Okay, let's move on. Okay. So we want to write an equation given this information. Well, first of all, I don't really think I need the directrix. You only really need the focus to write an equation. Since the focus is in the y spot, I know it's going to be y equals, and then x squared. And I know that the A value is going to be positive because the focus is positive. So I just got to figure out what A is. And remember, the focus is C. This is going to be A. I got to find A. Here's how you find A. To find A, you take 1 divided by 4C. This is the formula to find A. So if I put 8 into here, I get 1 over 32. So my formula, or my equation, is 1 over 32 x squared. Okay, B. This time the focus is in the x spot. So my equation is going to be x equals, and since it's positive, it's going to be a positive A y squared. So I got to figure out what A is. So I'm going to put 5 in for C, which is 1 over 20. So my answer is x equals 1 over 20 y squared. And these two are the same thing. These two are exactly like this. The only difference is that they're both negative, so you would have a negative for your A value. They're exactly the same otherwise. Okay, that brings us to the last page. So it's the opposite of what we just did. This time I'm giving you an equation, and you're going to give me the focus and the directrix. So I have to keep this in mind. So this time I know what A is. I got to know what C is. So I'm just going to substitute into this formula. So A is negative 1 over 32. Now you can either look at this and tell what C is, or you could cross multiply and divide. But I gotta figure out 4 times what is 32, really negative 32 because of that -1. I'm gonna cross multiply so there's less confusion. That's gonna give me negative 4C. It's gonna give me 32. If you divide over the -4, you get -8. So this is the focus. The focus is -8. Now I gotta decide, does the -8 go here or does it go here? Since it's y equals, the focus goes in the y spot. Now I need the directrix. Since it's y equals, I'm gonna have y equals, but it's gonna be a +8 because these are always opposite signs. So this is, those are both my answers. Okay, B. So 12 is A. I have to find the focus, which is C, and the directrix. So I'm going to substitute 12 into this formula. And really, I can make this 12 over 1. I'm trying to find C, because that's what the focus is. I'm going to cross multiply. So the focus is 1 over 48. But now I got to decide, does that go in the X spot or the Y spot? Since it's X equals, that number goes in the X spot. Also, since it's X equals, the directrix is going to be X equals, but it's going to be the opposite sign, so -1 over 48. So those are my answers to B. So again, that was parabolas and circles.